radio show with your host, Lonnie Clark. We stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Fission radio show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear. Good morning, UCY.TV radio listeners. This is Lonnie Clark again. Today, I can't believe the year has gone by so fast. It's November 16th, 2015. Today is Monday, and as many of you know, on Mondays I read the nuclear alerts from the NRC. I go directly to their page, and I let us know what the NRC is reporting as potential problems. You can find them yourself if you were to go to the nrc.gov page and look for, nuclear alerts, public comments, and you just type in nuclear alerts into the Googles and you can find them yourself. Since last week was a holiday, there were only 4 of them, so let me get right into it because it won't take us long. I do have some ideas to share with you after this, but I know many people now are becoming accustomed to looking for these nuclear alerts. This makes our week to know exactly what they're lying to us about. This is just the stuff they report to us. So let me start with November 10th. There are 4 events listed. The first one is 51511 from the Pennsylvania Bureau of Radiation Protection. The event happened on notification date 11/2, and last update was 11/2, meaning we may have already heard about this. Underdose due to malfunction of the dose delivery system. During the administration of Uridium-90 SIR sphere procedure, a portion of the dose began to leak out at the top of the vial containing the activity. To prevent contamination of the interventional radiographic suite, the medical physicist and authorized user aborted the administration. It is estimated that only 10 to 20% of the dose noted on the written directive was actually delivered to the patient. The patient and the radiation safety officer were notified immediately following the cancellation of the administration, and the patient has agreed again to be treated in the near future. Knowing the exact administered activity is nearly impossible given the characteristics of the procedure and radiopharmaceutical. No harm is to be expected to the patient. This event seems to be due to the malfunction of the dose delivery system. It appears that the interventional radiologist that the leak was located at the top of the dose vial and likely at the original puncture site of the radiopharmacy upon preparation of the dose for administration. Event report in Pennsylvania number, if you want to look it up, is PA 150028. A medical event may indicate potential problems in the medical facility's use of radioactive material. It does not necessarily result in harm to the patient. These people are so grotesquely incompetent. Honest to God, I do not know how anybody could trade. I would. That is just definitely not something I would ever get done. That's a procedure I would say no to. The next one is the Palo Verde reactor in Arizona. Event date 11/9. And it is called an unusual event. Emergency declared. Wow. The following event description is based on information currently available. If through subsequent reviews of this event, additional information is identified that is pertinent to this event or alters information being provided at the time, a follow-up notification will be made via the ENS or under the reporting requirements of 10 CFR 50.73. Quote, they are freaked out about this one. During Palo Verde Nuclear Generating Station Unit 2 containment pressurization for integrated leak rate testing in Mode 5, a containment fire alarm and Fire Zone 63B, Generator 2, all elevations of containment, was received. Containment pressure and containment temperature at the time of the event were 72 degrees and 13 psig. Due to the inability to access containment to validate the fire alarm, the unusual event was declared for a fire in containment which was unable to be validated within 15 minutes of receipt. Actions have been taken to depressurize containment to enter and validate the fire alarm. So then there's an update on 11/9. Containment was entered following depressurization. Operations and fire protection personnel inspection of containment in Fire Zone 63B identified no indication of fire or smoke, and the fire alarm was determined to be invalid. No impacts to plant and equipment were identified. The unusual event was terminated on 11/9/2015 at 9:01 MST. How do you have a fire alarm and then, sorry, there's no fire alarm? I mean, they didn't tell us what caused that. You know, I'm telling you, these nuclear people, they are the most devious, evil people I've ever seen in my life. Let me double check. Hang on, let me make sure that nobody wants to get in touch with me, that everything's good. Right, it is. So it's just astounding, folks. Let me get back to this. Technical, so the next event was what? We read the Pilgrim reactor in Massachusetts. Loss of COM ASMT response. Don't you love this? These acronyms on 11/9/11/9. On Monday, November 9th at 800 EST, planned routine maintenance was initiated on the Technical Support Center ventilation system. The planned maintenance was to replace charcoal filters and test the HVAC trains. All other TSC and OSC functions remained available. Then they have an update. On Monday, ventilation system was restored to service. So, you know, I often wonder about this, you know, like they do not warn the communities whenever they're putting anything down. It is really just a crime. It reminds me of something I was reading in John Goffman's book, The Irreverent Illustrated View of Nuclear Power. And in there he has a section about our rights, our human rights, and our civil rights in regards to nuclear. They don't have a right to manipulate us and lie to us. Okay, here we go. Up in our little neck of the woods, accident mitigation. Columbia Generating Station, event number 51526. This happened on 11/10. That's in the state of Washington. Potential uncontrollable radiation release. Guarantee it's going to be no problem. What does it say? Reactor building vacuum less than technical specification requirements. On 2040 PST on 11/9, the reactor building secondary containment pressure increased to above the technical specification surveillance requirement of 0.25 inches vacuum water gauge for approximately 7 minutes. Operators took action to manually start the standby gas treatment system to restore reactor building pressure. This event is reportable as an accident that could have prevented fulfillment of a safety action needed to control the release of radiation and mitigate the consequences of an accident. The cause of this event is under investigation. And guess what, folks? We will not be informed why. There is no radiological releases associated with this event. No safety system actuations or isolations occurred. The licensee notified the NRC. It doesn't tell us that there was no radiation. So that means for 7 minutes that there was radiation spewing out into the Columbia Basin. Thanks, guys. I don't know how about you guys feel, but I can't help but feel massively betrayed by this government. As a baby boomer, it comes to me as a double kick. I mean, at least the younger generations, at the core of their being, since Reaganomics kicked all the, crazy people out of hospitals and went after the war drugs, and just screwed up our entire, economy. They know that we're super screwed. But as a baby boomer, and, in the heart of my hearts, I kind of always believed in America that we were actually good people. Reading these nuclear alerts reminds me every single week how super screwed and how completely propagandized I have been from all of my life. This is just such an outrage. Okay, we are back on November 12th, 2015, and I'm going to read the next nuclear alerts. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some may be repeats. Event number 51461, Department of the Army in Aberdeen. And this event happened on 10/8, which means we probably heard about it. Lost or stolen LNX greater than 1,000 times. LNM. Lost source during shipment. A 1.2 millicuries californium-252 sealed source was shipped from Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland, to Fort Irwin, California via common carrier. The source did not arrive as expected, and the common carrier has initiated a trace. This is an update from Scott Davison to David Daniels on 1328 EST on 11/10/2015. The following was received via email. The package did not arrive at its destination, Fort Irwin, California, but was delivered to Dugway Proving Ground, Utah. We, the Department of the Army, were notified on November 3rd, 2015 that the package was at DPG with a photo of the package showing the same serial number as the package that was shipped. The package was held at DPG awaiting coordination instructions to have it returned to the unit responsible for shipping the package. The package has since been received and will be repackaged for shipment to its original destination. Thank God they found it. Wow. The next nuclear alert, 51511, Pennsylvania Bureau of Radiation Protection, St. Luke's University Health Network, non-emergency. Original event was 11/2, which means we probably heard about it last week. This is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Underdose due to a malfunction of the dose delivery system. Yeah, we did hear about this. During the administration of Uridium-90 SIR-SPHR position, blah, blah, blah. We already read that. No harm is expected to the patient. Right. This one was on 11/9, Columbia Generating Station. Is there an event? No, there is nothing that talks about that. Yeah, there's no addition to that. It's just a repeat of the event that we just read. And then we have 11/10, Sequoia, Tennessee, Power Reactor, event number 51527, Accident Mitigation Unanalyzed Condition. Wow. I don't like to hear that. Unanalyzed condition. Unanalyzed condition due to debris dropped into reactor cavity equipment, PIT. Sorry if I laugh, you guys, but swear to God, these people got to stop drinking before they go to work. On 11/10/2015 at 15:02, Unit 2 MCR Main Control Room. Don't you love these acronyms? MCR Main Control Room was notified by workers in containment that 2 ice suits had been dropped into the Unit 2 containment reactor cavity equipment pit. Based upon the size and location of the dropped suits, Unit 2 entered LCO 3.615 containment recirculation drains. Condition B in LCO 3.03 for refueling canal drains being inoperable. The 2 refueling canal drains and the ice condenser drain functions with the ice beds. What does this mean? The 2 refueling canal drains and the ice condenser drain functions with the ice bed, containment spray system, and ECCS to limit the pressure and the temperature that could be expected following a design basis accident. Following performance of a safety function determination, it was determined that during the short duration that both coats were in the process of being retrieved, they could have potentially clogged the drains and prevented the fulfillment of safety functions if it were a DBA. Both suits were retrieved from the equipment pit by 15:56 and all LCO conditions were exited. So it took them an hour, half an hour, like it started at 15:02, that's when they dropped it in there, and then they got them out by 15:56. Okay. I guess that's one of the hazards of working at a nuclear power plant. You might drop the suits in the containment center. I swear to God. Okay, then. Let's see. We have one more for, what's this date that we're on? I'm reading them rather slow. November 12th. The very last one. Let's see. I don't think that is the very last one, actually. Event number 51528 on 11/11, Prairie Island Power Reactor in Minnesota. Shield building vent gas radiation monitor out of service for planned maintenance. So I guess that's not really considered an emergency. It's just an event. It's a planned maintenance. You guys got blasted last week in Minnesota, and you weren't even forewarned. At 8:26 CST on 11/11, IR-22 shield building vent gas radiation monitor was removed from service for planned maintenance. This monitor has no compensatory measure that will allow timely classification of 2 emergency action levels, or notification of unusual event and alert classifications when out of service. It is also used for off-site dose projection calculations. This results in a loss of emergency assessment capability while 1R22 is out of service. This is reportable condition in accordance with 10 CFR 5072B3-8. Unit 1 shield building ventilation stack is also monitored by high range monitor 1R50, which is used for the same purpose in site area or general emergency classifications. 1R50 is being monitored and is indicating normal values. There are no radioactive leaks that will impact the shield building as evidenced by normal readings on 1R22 prior to its removal from service. The duration of this maintenance is scheduled for 24 hours and will continue until the monitor is returned to service. Maintenance will not result in an unplanned release of radioactivity to the environment and will not adversely affect the safe operation of the plant or health and safety of the public. They have a planned release of the radioactivity, folks, so don't worry about it. The radiation won't harm you because they planned the radiation release. That's the answer. Aren't you glad that they are taking care of us? They're just so good to us. Event number 51530 on 11/11, LaSalle, Illinois nuclear power reactor. Here we go again. Seismic monitor inoperable. Really? At 13:44 CST on 11/11, the seismic monitor was found inoperable. The seismic monitor was inoperable such that the emergency classification at the alert level could not be obtained with site instrumentation. The loss of assessment capability is reportable to the NRC within 8 hours of discovery in accordance with 10 CFR 5072 B38. No, that's not 8. That's 13. Beg your pardon, you guys. Reading the wrong numeric number. Wow. This is just so cavalier. You know, I started doing this, reading these events when I substituted for Kevin Blanche on the Post-Ignorance Project. And it is a good idea. I think we definitely do need to see it. But as I've been reading these for the last 2 months, it hits me like a ton of bricks. How blasé it helps me understand how the people who work at these nuclear power plants can be completely isolated from the catastrophic events that their work is creating on our planet. Okay, event number 51472. This event happened on 10/15. This is an update. It says, this event has been retracted. This event has been retracted at the Harris Nuclear Power Reactor. Let's see, what was the retraction? Oh, this is the one about the lost capability of the ventilation heating system that was inoperable. Subsequent calculations determined that the loss of heating capability to the TSE ventilation system did not affect the TSE functionality at the time of the discovery during the 30-day mission time period. Therefore, TSE remained functional throughout the time in question. Now, do you guys trust them? I don't. I don't believe a word they say. This is the thing. It's such an outrage. Okay, so then we have event number 51517. This happened on 11/5, which we may already have read about. Colorado Department of Health, Association for Community Living, non-emergency. This is interesting. Missing exit signs. After no response from the annual mailing to register active general licensees in our radioactive materials unit, a public record search was conducted to discover the owner of the property. Research disclosed from county records the homeowner's name and contact address. He was mailed a letter on 9/2. The exit signs were from the manufacturer Isolite Corporation. Isolite provided Glasgow Electric, 700 West Mississippi Avenue, Denver, Colorado, the exit signs that were designated to be used at 5744 North 71st Street in Longmont, Colorado, 80223. The two exit signs were model number 204050G 20WH with an activity of 11.1 Curies. Serial numbers were not recorded on the manufacturer's quarterly report dated 10/1/2001 through 12/31/2001. Wow. A response was received from the homeowner. He provided the following information. The Associated for Community Living occupied 5744 North 71st Street at the time the exit signs were shipped. According to the historical information, the building was used as a school for the developmentally disabled. The school closed and the property was sold in 2013. The owner began renovation of the property and removed the exit signs. The owner reported local city codes required all deconstruction materials to be recycled. He took the exit signs to the Center for Resource Conservation located in Boulder during calendar year 2014. The homeowner was unaware of any regulations pertaining to the use or disposal of tritium exit signs. Can you believe this? The Center for Resource Conservation was contacted on 11/4/2015 to inquire about the exit signs possibly being at the location of 6400 Arapahoe Road in Boulder, Colorado. Management explained upon materials being dropped off, the donor is giving a receipt for the donation showing items donated. When large boxes are inspected, smaller items may not get noticed and slip through the donation lanes. Items are separated and may be placed in recycling roll-off to be picked up by Evras, located in Denver, Colorado. It is unknown when they would have accepted the signs in 2014. It is unknown if the exit signs were resold or scrapped. No further information is available. You know, I don't know about any of you, but I never in my life, and I'm 60, it never once occurred to me that all these stop signs out there have tritium on them. Every one of these stop signs that we have in our country are made with tritium so that they are all regulated. Like if you take a stop sign down, let's say you buy property, there's a stop sign, you have to dispose of it in accordance to nuclear regulations. This is just such gross negligence. It is that it's not even just about, it's so stunning. This whole thing about the tritium stop signs is such an outrage. It's such an insidious way to incorporate tritium waste throughout all of our lives and to harm us with radioactive contamination at every level of our culture. It is seriously a crime against humanity. These nuclear monsters have just got to be stopped. Okay, so here we are. At 11/11/2015, Prairie Island, Minnesota. We probably heard about this. Shield building gas radiation monitor out of service for planned maintenance. And yes, it is. I think we read that one. I'm going to double check that. Okay. The update on 11/12. The licensee indicated that the duration of maintenance was extended to approximately 24 hours to allow continued repair of the monitor, but it doesn't tell us if the monitor was corrected. No radioactive leaks will impact the shield building. I am so over this. Like I start the morning going, okay, I can handle this. It's not, and then my anger, like people want me not to cuss because I'm a woman, and I've been told like it's just not ladylike. But you know what? The cussing just starts rolling off my tongue when I start talking about this nuclear stuff. Like seriously, this is such an egregious crime against humanity. This is so outrageous. And worse on top of that is just the doing, doing, doing. All of us are just willing to go along with it, and not that bad. You know, I'm going to talk about the Westlake landfill when I'm done with this, because this goes hand in hand with this. Okay, so event number 51532 on 11/12/2015, Susquehanna, Pennsylvania, nuclear power reactor. Since it was done 11/12, we probably heard about it. Okay, automatic reactor scram. At 11:32 EST on November 12th, Susquehanna Steam Electric Station Unit 1 reactor automatically scrammed due to one main steam isolation valve unanticipated closure at high pressure reactor protection system trip. All control rods inserted and both reactor recirculation pumps tripped due to reactor level 2. Wow. Reactor water level 2. Reactor water level lowered to negative 37 inches, causing level 3 plus 13 inches and level 2 minus 38 inches, division 2 only isolations. Reactor core isolation cooling automatically initiated and was overridden by control room operators after reactor pressure vessel water level was restored to the normal band with feed water. All isolations and initiations occurred as expected. No main steam relief valves opened. Pressure was controlled via main turbine bypass valve operation. All safety systems operated as expected. Oh, pat yourselves on the back, boys. The Unit 1 reactor is currently stable in Mode 3. Investigation into the cause of MSIV closure is underway. Really? Unit 2 is unaffected and continues power operation. The NRC resident inspector was notified. A voluntary notification to the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency and press release will occur. The plant is in normal shutdown electrical lineup. Wow. So, what this speaks to is the near misses that we incur all the time, every day, man. Like I said, the revolution will not be televised. They are not going to notify us when the shit hits the fan, when something bad really happens. They are just not going to tell us. This is so outrageous. Okay, I think this is an update. No, it's not. Secondary containment inoperable. Susquehanna, Pennsylvania nuclear power reactor. Event number 51533. That is not the same one. We read 5132. So, on November 12th at 11:32 EST, secondary containment became inoperable due to failure to meet SR 3.6.4.1.1 requirements on Unit 2. The inoperability was caused when reactor building zone 2 differential pressure oscillated between 0.23 and 0.43 inches water gauge, less than SR 3.6.4.1.1 requirement of greater than or equal to 0.25 inches water gauge. The oscillation subsided at 1501, and the RB Zone 2 DP continues to be maintained at approximately 0.35 water gauge. This event is being reported under CFR 50.3 BVC and per guidance NUR Nuclear Regulations 1022, Revision 3, Section 3.27, as a loss of safety function. There is no redundant Susquehanna secondary containment system. Wow. Wow. So I wonder if they're going to tell us they're back on track and it's safe now. That was on the 12th, right? What day was the 12th? Let me look that up. That was Thursday, folks. So that's kind of a serious thing. They're telling us that the Susquehanna nuclear power reactor, the secondary, has become inoperable, and so far it's not fixed. It didn't say it got fixed. Fermi nuclear power plant in Michigan, event number 51535, date 11/12, off-site notification, non-emergency. Portable chemical toilet spill to the environment. Thanks, guys. On 11/12/2015 at approximately 1500, a spill to the environment was determined to be reported to the state environmental and local health agencies. A press release is planned. The spill occurred when a portable chemical toilet tipped over and was identified at 1440. The contents and exactly the quantity of the spill are unknown, but the toilet has a capacity of 60 gallons. The spill contacted the ground but did not reach any waterways. Cleanup efforts are in progress. Actually, that's probably the best spill that we heard at a nuclear power plant. It's just a porta potty. For goodness sakes, their waste products in the porta potty probably is more radioactive than the frickin' porta potty. So that's amazing. These people are criminal in their minds. I don't know how they sleep at night. Okay, so event number, we are now on November 16th, and that's today. It's only taken us about a half hour to get through this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it is event number 51517, Colorado Department of Health Association for Community Living. This happened on 9/2. This happens, we read this, right, to register, this was about the missing signs, right? And this must be an event. What is that? Dropped off. No scraps of sign. This is that same one where the missing stop signs from the community association. This is what really cracks me up. They use the school for developmentally disabled children. That hit me like a ton of bricks when I was reading that, folks. Like, do you realize the levels of contamination if we have tritium on every stop sign in our country? I mean, just they're probably not. I seriously doubt they're not even looking at the contamination levels of these chemicals beyond the radioactivity. I mean, it is so outrageous. It's so egregious. The Earth murderers, they are just Earth murderers. They could care less about life on this planet. So event number 51519, which is an old one, and that was dated on 11/6. The event happened on 11/4. And this is Louisiana Radiation Protection Division. BASF Corporation in Geismar, Louisiana. Non-emergency. Hairline crack found in housing of Berthold level density gauges. These crappy gauges that we have to use. On 11/4, Assistant Radiation Safety Officer for the licensee called the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality Control about a hairline crack on the housing of the Berthold level density gauge. The crack was noticed when the annual operation inspections were being performed. The level gauges are required to be inspected by condition number 6 of the licensee radioactive material license. The gauge in Geismar, Louisiana, within the secure boundary of the licensee's chemical plant. The fixed gauge is installed in a hopper drum, but the gauge has not been used in a quality control or quality assurance device since March 21, 2003, when the device was locked out. The crack or hairline crack was not detected or documented before November 15th annual inspections. So it was last used in 2003, and they didn't notice it until 2015. The notification to the Louisiana DEQ is required by condition number 6 of the license. The gauge remained installed in the hopper since 2003, but was not functioning as a gauge during that time. The Louisiana DEC was notified on November 4, 2015 at approximately 14:30 CST that during the licensee's annual operation inspection, they detected a hairline crack in the housing of an installed locked-out density measuring device. The device was the Berthold gauge model LB7440D, loaded with approximately 60 millicuries of cesium-137. Wow. On 11/4/2014, the licensee ARSO called Louisiana DEQ to make a preliminary report about the hairline crack found in the gauge housing holder. The crack was at the union of the gauge shielding and the mounting of the device. A contract company has been contacted to provide services at the licensee's facility for packaging the source to be shipped and for the source disposal. This will be the corrective action, and it was speculated the crack possibly happened during the vibration of the hopper. The source or device is not leaking. The source was not exposed or removed from the shielded position. This appears to be reportable under 10 CFR 3150C5. The source was not being used or operational when the crack was detected. There is no possible exposure to plant workers because the gauge is still installed on an elevated process. Surveys were taken of the source housing, and they were in the same range as before noticing the crack. The exposure level is approximately 150 millirems per hour. The gauge has been locked out since March 20th, 2003. The shutter remains closed, and the gauge does not cause a safety hazard to the plant personnel. The gauge operated in the open direction without a problem. The ARSO called and reported the incident to comply with condition number 6 of the licensee radioactive material license. The gauge is a Berthold model LB7400D, originally loaded with approximately 100 millicuries of cesium-137 and received and installed in 1992. The serial number for the source is 3029-9-90. The corrective action will be the disposal by the contractor. The department considers this item open until the disposal. The records will be reviewed during a site visit and the next inspection. Wow. So they didn't even notice it since 2003. Okay, event number 51520. Event date 11/6. Last update on 11/6. Utah Division of Radiation Control from the Intermountain Medical Center. Non-emergency. Oh, another underdosing of the patient. This is so annoying. Okay, on 11/5, a 66-year-old male patient was scheduled to receive a Therasphere infusion. I think we read this last week. It was not until the nuclear medicine technologist returned to the inpatient hot tab to finish her calculations and make her final measurements after the procedure that she determined that the patient received a Therasphere viral dose of 1.502 G becquerels. I don't know, maybe gigabecquerels, a G becquerel, instead of the prescribed 1.94 G becquerels. 22% of the dose remained in the administration system. Can you imagine that, getting some type of a nuclear procedure, medical procedure, and then them telling you, well, we didn't put it all in your body. So you might have been exposed to radiation for no problem, but, we didn't give you everything that you needed to get well, but you can do it again. Don't worry about it. Anybody who trusts the nuclear industry to do anything is off their frickin' rocker. There is no way I would let these people near me. Okay, is this the very last one? No. Okay. This is in South Texas, power reactor. Event number 51536. This event happened on 11/13. This was Friday. Offsite notification. Emergency declared. Unusual event. Did any of us hear about this, folks? An emergency declared? An unusual event? Wow. While in Mode 3, South Texas Project Unit 1 declared an unusual event at 6:39 CST on 11/13 due to SU7 of AEL1, unidentified RCS or pressure boundary leakage greater than 10 GPM, grams per minute. Is that what guys should think? That's what GPM means. The excessive leakage to the waste holding tank occurred when a letdown system demineralizer was placed in service. Operators bypassed the demineralizer and the RCS leakage was stopped. The excess leakage lasted for approximately 8 minutes and the maximum leakage was estimated to be 12 to 15 grams per minute. There is no impact on South Texas Unit 2, which continues to operate at 100% power. So that was Unit 1. South Project Unit 1 exited the unusual event at 8:02 CST and 11:13:15 after verifying unidentified RCS leakage less than 1 gram per minute. The demineralizer drain valve was partially opened and was the cause of the excess leakage. The drain valve has been closed. Latest update. Okay, so now we have an update. Due to the entering of the South Texas Project Emergency Plan, STP has officially determined to make a planned press release. Per 10 CFR 50.72 B211. STP is making notification to the NRC via emergency notification system. The planned press release shares the following information. On November 13th, STP Nuclear Operating Station Unit 1 declared an unusual event at 6:39 CST. Plant operators identified increasing reactor coolant system leakage in Unit 1. Plant operators took immediate action to verify the source and safely isolate and stop the leakage. Upon identifying the source of the leakage, the unusual event was exited 8:02 on November 13, 2015. The leakage was captured and maintained within an on-site storage tank, and there was no radioactive release to the environment. STP Unit 1 is preparing for restart following scheduled refueling and maintenance outage. Wow. Here's an update to the Susquehanna Nuclear Power Reactor. Actually, that's not an update. This one says degraded condition. Event happened on 11/13, notification date 11/14. Wow. On 11/13 at 17:45 EST, Unit 1 drywall entry was performed during an unplanned Unit 1 outage. The licensee identified leakage from a weld on the 3/4 inch lower seal vent piping connected to the 1B reactor circulation pump lower seal area. The location is within the reactor recirculation loop isolation valves, therefore isolable from the reactor vessel. Yeah, therefore isolable. Sorry, folks. You know how that word is, isolate? Isolable. Now, how can they use this? Therefore, isolable from the reactor vessel. The piping of ASME Class 2 and a reactor coolant pressure boundary. The reactor was in Mode 3 at the time of discovery. Control room determined at 2110 EST that requirements were not met. This event is being reported as a degraded condition pursuant to 10 CFR 50.72B32A. So what, a degraded condition? That's what they're telling us? That's what we get to live with? Wow. We're just supposed to just take it. Like, I think what it is they just put these things out and they don't even notice. They don't even hear it. It's like people who beat their kids. They're like, what? What did I do wrong? Like, I was just spanking my kids. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So one of the things I did want to share with you tonight was today. I'm sorry, it's the morning. My life is passing by me. Was this idea about the hormesis. You know, we are coming upon the deadline. November 19th is the deadline for the NRC to decide. And one of the things that I was looking at was there was a petition and a letter. They are basically stating, there's a letter here, PRM docketing letter for Dr. Mohan Das. I think that was the letter, or Carol S. Marking. Incoming petition for rulemaking for Carol Marcus. I think that's it. Let me open it up in a new tab. Basically, you know, this whole thing about what we need to find the hormesis model, right? It has everything to do, Dr. Mohan Das, medical physicist. The NRC is they're telling the NRC that there is new science. This is what they're asking. This is the person, Dr. Mohan Das, from the medical physicist, associate professor, diagnostic imaging, Fox Chase Cancer Center, 333 Cotman Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dear Dr. Das, this letter is in reference to the petition for rulemaking dated February 24th. This is how long they've been working on it, folks. 2015. That you filed electronically with the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Your PRM, petition for rulemaking, is available at the NRC's agency-wide documents access and management system under access code, blah, blah, blah. You request that the NRC amend Part 20 of Title 10 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Standards for Protection Against Radiation, based on new science and evidence that contradicts the linear no-threshold hypotheses. I would certainly like to see that new science. The NRC docketed your petition for rulemaking. Please make your reference in that docket. Okay, and I was looking on the website, and I actually cannot find what they're talking about. I have no idea. Let's see what she says here, because I honestly could not find the new science. I was looking online, so here it is. Here's her letter. I am submitting this to you. Okay. Let's just read this. How long is this? This is not very long, but I think it's really important. This is what they're basing the information on. So I think we have some time to get through it. Okay. The literature shows protective effects, supports the concept of hormesis. Oh my God. I am submitting this petition for rulemaking pursuant to CFR Part 2.803. The petitioner requests that the NRC amend the standards for protection against radiation based on new science and evidence that contradicts the linear no-threshold hypotheses, a model that has served as the basis for radiation protection regulations. I will present scientific data as reported in study after study to justify that safety regulations and policies should no longer be derived from the LNT model in order to ensure these requirements are more risk-informed. The ultra-simplistic concept assumes that all radiation doses absorbed, no matter how small, have an infinite probability of causing a fatal cancer. Not just cancer, you dumbass bitch. The lower the quantity of radiation absorbed dose, the lower the probability of cancer induction. But the probability is never zero, let alone negative, i.e. beneficial or hormetic. The rate of radiation delivery is irrelevant and all absorbed doses are additive. This is demonstrably false, as evidenced by the evidence of radiation oncology and of radionuclide therapy. That is actually not true. Because we don't know. People die of radionuclide therapy, you stupid fucking bitch. Excuse my language, but this is where I start cussing. Use of the LNT assumption enables regulators to feel justified in ratcheting down permissible worker and public radiation levels, either through actual dose limits or the use of as low as reasonably achievable principle, giving the illusion that they are making everyone safer and creating ever-increasing workload for themselves and their licensees. This is a lie. There has never been scientifically valid support for this LNT hypothesis since it was recommended by the U.S. National Academy of Sciences on Biological Effects, Genetic in 1956. The cost of complying with these LNT basis regulations are enormous. Professor Dr. Gunnar Wallinder has summed it up. The LNT is the greatest scientific scandal of the 20th century. These people are such liars. John Goffman and Arthur Tamplin, there is a gigantic book that I own called The Low-Dose Radiation, Effects of Low-Dose Radiation. On the other hand, back to her letter, folks. On the other hand, there is a vast literature demonstrating no effects or protective effects at relatively low dose of radiation. That is not true. The literature showing no effects supports the threshold concept in which radiation below a certain level of no concern because it causes no deleterious effects. The literature showing protective effects supports the concept of hormesis, in which low levels of potentially stressful agents such as toxins, other chemicals, ionizing radiation protect against deleterious effects of high levels of these stressors produce and result in the beneficial effects, i.e. lower cancer rates. To properly characterize risk at low radiation doses of health outcomes, including beneficial or zero health effects, must be acknowledged. This lady is out of her freaking mind. Ask the people in St. Louis. Look at the cancer rates in St. Louis. I'm going to print this letter out, and I am going to come back to it next week, mostly because I really, really do want to read to you guys about what's going on in St. Louis. The people in St. Louis, frankly, many of you know this. St. Louis the people who live in St. Louis have been lied to by our government. You know what? Before I get into St. Louis, I recognize that I did not tell you about this. Please do go to the nrc.gov, look up comments for public, what do they call this? I'm going to go back here. It's documents for public comment. And look up this no-dose, low-dose radiation thing, because honestly, folks, we need people to put in their comments and tell the NRC that this is a straight-up lie. There is plenty of evidence that radiation causes harm. Let's go talk to the people that live near the Westlake landfill. Don Chapman disclosed on the Nuclear Hot Seat show, all three of her children have genetic defects. She moved in right next door to the Westlake landfill when she was pregnant. And it is kind of sad for me, these women that started the online Facebook group, the Westlake landfill, they went there as just moms. They're not scientists, they're not activists, they're kind of like me. They're just like citizens who have gotten engaged because they were concerned about their own environment. And it's kind of sad, like you can see them posting now on Facebook 3 weeks later, and they are becoming dumbfounded at the way the news is beginning to dismiss their plight, the way it's being ignored. I mean, what is it going to take? Is it going to take for this St. Louis to blow up? I mean, the EPA themselves even said they have no idea what's going to happen when that fire hits the nuclear waste dump site. And it is less than a quarter of a mile away. They cannot stop the fire at the Westlake landfill. And it is really important for us to contact our own senators, to contact Claire McCaskill, Roy Blunt, Jay Nixon, and let them know that we expect them to help the people of St. Louis and stop pretending like radiation does not cause harm. There is no real evidence. It's not evident that there is no harm caused by radiation. That is a complete false lie. Typical of the nuclear industry. All they do is lie. It's the 90% rule, folks. The 90% rule is outlined by Dr. John Goffman, who studied the people of Japan for 20 years when he realized that the United States government, they took all these things. I'm going to have to hang up on this guy. They basically, they took a lot of measurements for the people of Japan in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they destroyed it. Essentially what the American government did, the military did, was they destroyed their evidence. This phone's going to ring. Good morning, Lonnie Clark. Yeah, so I'm going to have to call you back because you're interrupting the last few minutes of my radio show. So I'm going to hang up. Bye. Sorry about that, guys. I couldn't let the phone just keep ringing up, so I had to answer the phone. I haven't figured out how to mute it yet, and I apologize for that. But John Goffman basically studied the Japanese people for 20 years. At the end of his 20 years of study, he realized that the United States military, the nuclear industry, and anyone related to anything related to nuclear underreport the negative effects of radiation by 90%. That means that they underreport the harm that it's caused by 90%, and they deny that radiation causes harm. He was hired, in fact, by the Lawrence Livermore Lab in California to come up with to prove that hormesis, the very thing they're trying to shove down our throats now, was safe and was a valid argument that in fact we could find some good use for the peaceful atom. Him, Linus Pauling, and Arthur Tamplin studied women, children, and men. They were not allowed to study the 10,000 they wanted, but they studied enough to recognize that every single person they studied had harm caused to them by radiation. And they also recognized the fact. That's why John Goffman's work was summarily shuffled aside. He did not give them the answers that they wanted. So look, thank you for joining me this morning. We have about 30 seconds left. Please put your courage feet on. Please do all you can. Remember that happiness is resistance. Just because these things are grave does not mean there's not a lot to be grateful for. Put your courage feet on. Love is greater than fear. And thank you for joining us. I believe on Wednesday will be Donna Gilmore with us, and we'll talk to you soon, you guys. Take care.